Button, and we'll be going with questions. Gabe?
Yeah, Chris, when you look at Auburn since Sharif Cooper's been in the lineup, what do you see? And do you spend much time looking at games before they had him, or is this a totally different team?
Well, they won 3 out of their last 4. Obviously, he's made a huge difference, and I think they played the majority of their games before him without a point guard. I know Alan Flanagan had filled that role for him, and for him, being traditionally a 2 or even a 3 coming up and as a young guy, I think they were kind of all trying to figure it out, and there were games where you could tell that they, before Sharif came, that they were, trying to figure it out without a true point guard. And now that Sharif has come and played, and they're playing a lot better than they did because he fills that void for them. But no, I really haven't gone back and watched any of the film beforehand. He controls a lot of the game. He's got the ball in his hands a lot, and everything starts and a lot of 70% of the time it may finish with him. So really don't spend a lot of time watching those games where he didn't play, and a totally different looking team with him on the floor.
Mitch?
Hey, Chris, I know one thing that Sharif Cooper's done really well is get to the free throw line. I guess what does he do so well to do that? And what's kind of, the instruction to, the guys who might be guarding him on avoiding that?
Well, again, like I said before, he controls the game, and they want him to have the ball in his hands from the time the ball goes in the basket or there's a miss. There may be a couple guys that will bring it up offensively, but he's got the ball in his hands a lot of the time. And what he does is he starts to play, makes people better around him, or he'll finish the play. And like you said, he gets to the foul line off a lot because he really does try to absorb a lot of contact on his penetration, does a great job of finding gaps and finding little seams. Not afraid to get hit, not afraid to continue his drives downhill, and puts a lot of pressure on your defense because he's really never done when he's got the basketball. So a very smart player, an excellent passer, especially with his left hand, which is, I don't know if you've been able to notice that of the games you've seen, but for a right-handed guy, he's exceptional with his left hand and unselfish. A guy like that, you can see he's averaging a lot of points, but he really, really does a great job of finding his teammates at the right time, put them in place for good opportunities to score. So, but again, it goes back to the play starting with him being aggressive, and then as plays develop, if their offense isn't working, it gets back to him, and then the plays end with him. So. I think it's a testament to his aggressiveness and transitions, aggressiveness at the beginning and end of plays for them offensively.
Dave Matter?
Hey, Chris, what's Kobe giving you guys right now? It just seems like he's really finding ways to impact the game in different ways and just coming into his own at that position.
I think that's it. I think what you said is exactly right. He's finding different ways to impact the game. Two really, really big offensive rebounds late in the game against Tennessee. His effort to do things without the basketball, specifically on energy and effort plays, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, using his length and his size to guard good players on the other team. But again, it's just what you said. He's impacting the game in different ways other than just shooting and scoring. He's doing a great job and really embracing the role of going in there, being a big physical presence for us, playing really, really hard. I think that's one thing that's really, really changed for him is like he understands that playing hard at this level is a skill and it's a talent that all of our guys have it. And you can see all of our guys playing extremely hard. But for him to go in there and do those things, especially late in that game against Tennessee, those two offensive rebounds were huge. And those were 2 huge energy plays, 2 huge winning plays. That have impacted the game, and he's been doing that game after game here lately.
Ben Arnett?
Chris, have you guys been able to really feel the momentum within your group the last, since coming back from the break and these last 2 wins especially? It feels like you could really see an energy on the bench, especially on Saturday night.
Our guys are really good at just trying to do the next right thing, and we had a long travel day on Sunday, and went into the gym on Sunday night, and their energy and enthusiasm was awesome. And so our guys have really been resilient. They've really done a good job of just coming in every day, being businesslike, win or lose. No matter what's going on around them, they've really had blinders on, to be quite honest with you. And they come in and they want to learn. They take every word the coach is saying, and they're hanging on it and trying to execute as best they can. And you can feel a sense of poise, maybe a sense of maturity, more so than in the last couple of years where guys were trying to figure out their roles. We've had some injuries, all those things. But I think our guys are really, really locked into, hey, this is the next task at hand, whether it's film, whether it's walkthrough, whether it's practice, whether it's a game. We're going to go out and try to do the next right thing, the next best thing as hard as we can. And that's really the sense that I get. I think there's a calm, quiet confidence and energy coming from our guys right now. And you can feel it game after game where someone else is stepping up and stepping into a role of scoring or rebounding or leadership or whatever. And I think that there is a nice poise and a nice way about our guys.
Eric?
Hey, Chris, thanks for hopping on with us tonight. When you kind of look at what, obviously Sharif's getting a lot of attention, deservedly so, but, you guys have faced some quality players before. I mean, I think Iowa scored 36 against you guys, but those are two different teams, different players, but you guys still ended up winning that game despite that offensive performance. How do you balance what Sharif can do with the other guys? I mean, JT Thor's playing well for them right now. How do you kind of balance those two things at the same time?
Yeah, I think they got a lot of guys that have really kind of stepped up for him. Sharif obviously has come in and given them a different look for the entire team, and he's helped everybody else get better. But throughout the course of the year, Alan Flanagan's been statistically, and obviously his minutes have gone up in a different role from last year's team, but he's got to be considered one of the best, most improved guys in our league from last year as well. So they got a lot of guys that shoot threes. They got a lot of guys that get open threes because Cooper puts them in position to get open threes because of his ability to get downhill and to get into the paint. So I think they obviously he is getting a lot of attention, and he's getting a lot of attention nationally. And when you watch the games, they talk about it, but there's a lot of guys on their team that are doing a lot of good things, and a lot of guys that are stepping up into big roles for him. Again, like I said, Alan Flanagan, was averaged 3 points a game last year. Now he's averaging 14. So, I mean, it's not just Sharif. It's a new team. It's a new look. And the last really 5-6 games, it's a whole new look for a new team. So, we got to do a great job on all of them.
Yeah, Chris, when you're going through your ball screen coverages for covering a guy like Sharif, there's a lot of good point guards in this league. Is what you guys plan to do usually a standard with a guy like Sharif, or do you have to try to do something extra to slow him down any way you can?
I think, ball screen coverage, you go into a lot of games like, okay, for example, like we go against Tennessee, and this is what makes, college basketball really unique is you go against Tennessee, and Tennessee's a team that doesn't run a lot of ball screens. So your whole game plan is geared towards chasing guys off screens. You got guys going this way, multiple cuts, cutting hard. They'll have some post stuff. And now, 2 days later, you got a downshift, and you got to go into a game where you're going to have to guard 60 ball screens, right? And we talked about that last night as a team. And but for the most part, our ball screen coverage is what it is, and we'll make a lot of adjustments as the game, going into the game, and then obviously as the game goes on, you'll have to make some adjustments. But our game plan will stay. We'll have specific things, and we'll cover it a few different ways, but for the most part, we've been pretty consistent all year.
Dave, generally?
Yeah, Chris, you talk about the maturity of this team. Do you feel like because they're so experienced, they're past the point of you guys having to say to them, hey, forget Saturday, big win and all that, but it's time to, or do you still have to concentrate on kind of getting their feet back on the ground?
I think our guys, back to my point earlier, I think our guys have really shown that they can come into the next day of practice, whatever the next thing is, whether it's post game, whether it's, practice film, whatever, that they can concentrate. They can go from the moment that they were in, enjoy that moment when they had the moment, and understand that we're getting on the bus and we're going to do something next. And so yes, I think our guys are able to enjoy the moment, embrace that moment, understand why they were successful or they didn't have success, and then go to the next thing and do as best they can the next thing they have in front of them. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of reminding. It doesn't take, because our seniors and the guys that have been through it do a lot of that themselves. And there's a lot of leadership there from the older guys. And when I say older guys, that doesn't mean seniors. I mean guys that have been in the program for a year, that everybody understands what's next and how important each possession is, how important each walkthrough is, how important each practice is, each rep of shooting. And I think that's maturity. And I see that with this team.
Andrew Kaufman.
Hey, how's it going, Coach? So, Coach Martin after the Tennessee game said a top 10 team won that game. And then the rankings came out today and you guys were ranked number 12. I'm curious, do you guys have a chip on your shoulder, you think, because do you guys feel like maybe that the rankings aren't what you guys expect to be?
I don't think our guys really get hung up on that. I think they're proud of what they accomplished. I think they're proud of what they accomplished Saturday. I think they're proud of what they accomplished last week. I think they're proud of the accomplishments early in the year when we went on the road and won at Wichita. And I think that they're proud of the way they bounced back from tough losses. And I don't think our guys hang on anything that anybody says, to be honest with you. I think they're walking around with blinders on. And I think that they're focused on, when I was at Army, they call it the 50-meter target. So whatever the target is right in front of them, it's not the target that's behind them. It's not the target downrange. It's the target that's right in front of them. And so to answer your question, I don't think our guys are hung up on that. I think they're hung up on going into practice tonight and having a great practice and getting prepared to win a ball game.
Sweetie.
Hey, Chris, I remember Jeremiah telling us after the Bradley game that ahead of his free throw, he was just saying routine. And I'm just wondering what is it about Jeremiah this year and just kind of the mental aspect of the game. Now he's kind of calmed down, it seems, out there.
Yeah, Jeremiah's doing great. Jeremiah has a lot of trust in the process. He's really embraced the process, and it's really showing up this year. I think there's a nice calm poise about him. I gave an example the other day of, somebody asked me the other day, said, what do you mean things don't rattle, Jeremiah? And I said, well, we were playing in a game on the road earlier this year, and Jeremiah got two hands shoved into a ball screen. He got called for an offensive foul, and he just walked down the floor, went and just ready to play defense, and there was nothing. And so I feel a calmness. I think everybody feels a calmness from Jeremiah, a poise, confidence. And I think that just comes with finally, trusting the process that he's in his journey that he's been on, and just quietly taking care of business every day.
Got time for one or two more so we get the players in before we hit the bus. Mitch?
Yeah, I also had a question about Jeremiah and specifically his rebounding. I think that one area where, the numbers have really gone up this season, aside from the stuff you already mentioned, I guess what's really gone into him improving so much as a rebounder?
That's a great question. I think, he's made a really conscious effort on the offensive glass. I think that he's done a really good job of chasing balls outside of his area. Guys that can rebound the basketball outside of where they're standing make guys elite rebounders. And when Jeremiah goes to the glass and he goes outside of his area and there's a contest for the ball, very rarely is he not going to come down with it. And I think really he's made a more conscious effort on the offensive glass, which has really probably sparked his defensive rebounding as well. And then just making sure that he goes every time, which in turn on the defensive end has helped him go chase rebounds as well. So I just think probably it's there's been maybe more of an emphasis on, trying to chase balls outside of his area and concentrating on that part of the offensive rebounding game.
All right, last one. Eric, did you have another one?
Yes, I did. Chris, do you see Coach Konzo doing anything specifically different this season than he did in previous years? And regardless of that answer, how would you define Konzo's style of leadership? You mentioned the team's maturity. How would you define it for Konzo?
To answer your question, no. I don't think there's been anything different. It's a poised, high character, lead by example, say what you mean, what you say, and it's every day. It's everyday leadership. And he doesn't just preach it to our guys and to our staff. He lives it. He lives it within our program. He lives it outside of our program. He's a role model for all of us. And anything and everything that he does is about helping and doing what's best for our guys in the program. And he is the perfect example of what all college basketball coaches should be, in my opinion.
All right, thanks, Coach. Kobe, man.
Thanks, guys.